Good evening and welcome to Inside Out from West Yorkshire's home valley. Good evening and welcome to Inside Out. I'm Toby Foster. Tonight, as Yorkshire prepares to welcome the greatest cycling show on earth, we ask, just how cycle friendly are we? We travel to Holland to see how we compare.
Every town in Holland is connected by cycle roads.
And we visit one Yorkshire village which is preparing to welcome the Tour de France not once, but twice.
We don't want anybody racing up on the second day to get to that corner by the crown. That's what we don't want.
And footballer Sue Smith attempts a section of the race to see how she shapes up.
How far do you think's left?
Now here in home Firth, they'll be welcoming the peloton through on day 2 of Le Tour. But over in the tiny village of Addingham in West Yorkshire, they'll be hosting it twice. Not everybody, though, is happy about it. I've been to see how the locals are bracing themselves for Le Tour. It's a pretty enough little backwater, but nothing in its past suggests it's ever been one for hogging the limelight. Just the wrong side of the Yorkshire Dales National Park, just the right side of the teeming cities of Leeds and Bradford, Addingham is the epitome of the sleepy rural village. But in a few months' time, this tiny little place will be shaken to its very core. Addingham's population of just 4,000 people is expected to explode to tens of thousands, as for 2 head-spinning days the most famous bike race in the world passes through its ancient streets. Not just once, but twice.
It's whether or not Addingham can cope with it.
If it means shutting things off, then we'll have to shut things off.
We need to make sure that we protect the integrity of the village and look after everyone who comes here as well.
Unwittingly, Addingham is about to become the epicentre for what some regard as the greatest show on earth, the Tour de France.
What we can't have is different messages coming out, which would be absolutely chaotic on the day if it went wrong.
It's December, 7 months before the race is due to hit town, and villagers are getting their first taste of the cycling tornado that's about to come.
We don't want anybody racing up on the second day to get to that corner by the crown. That's what we don't want. So it's that managing of all the expectations and the people.
Mike Powell is Bradford Council's emergency planning officer, and today he's meeting the villagers' hastily arranged Tour de France working group to make sure the village isn't going to be overwhelmed.
We've got a few issues. I've got some elderly residents in the village I've got to cater for. I've got a pharmacy round the corner, I've got a doctor's surgery round the corner. And it's making sure my colleagues from the emergency services get here as well. The Tour de France is going to be the biggest thing ever to happen to hundreds of communities along the route. But as the invasion looms here, opinions are split about the effect it may have.
There's all these numbers flying about.
Are we likely to be faced with a lot of road surfacing?
What happens if that crowd gets to such a level?
It's January, and with the countdown beginning in earnest, the village is starting to realise that this is more than just a bike race.
I can't guarantee getting out.
For many, it's the fear that they're being left alone to deal with the impact.
There's still not enough information about what is going to happen in the village.
The Tour de France hits Yorkshire on the weekend of the 5th and 6th of July, dominating 250 miles of road between Harrogate, Leeds, York and Sheffield. All roads affected will be shut for a minimum of 8 hours.
That comes straight off the back. That's a hard entrance as well, that is.
Yeah.
And for Addingham, a pivotal point on both days, residents are having to plan for a virtual lockdown of 48 hours. Everyone along the route will be affected, and even if you're not a sports fan, its impact on the region's infrastructure can't be ignored.
At the moment, we've no idea how many people are going to be swarming to the village, coming and watching the Tour de France. So we've got to ensure that we've got enough facilities for all those people and the residents.
But along with the problems come opportunities. Some businesses are licking their lips at the prospect. So we're in the kitchen, Craig, as our bouillabaisse bubbles away. Tell us what we've got here and tell us how we're preparing for this French weekend.
Yeah, so we've got some baked camembert on the menu at the minute, but looking forward, when the tour comes, Out in the marquee, we're going to have a lot of different things on the go. We'll have the Yorkshire stand with quintessentially Yorkshire food, and then on the French stand, quintessentially French food. So yeah, lots of different things for lots of different people.
Craig's pub, The Fleece, is one of the businesses on the main street, where the tour goes right past their front doors. Through the narrow West Yorkshire streets will tumble a 2.5-hour cavalcade of publicity vehicles and floats, 130 professional riders and crews, and an army of press trailing along in its wake.
I think it's going to be phenomenal. I don't think we're going to be struggling for trade on those days. So yeah, all hands on deck and crack on really. Because obviously it flashes past here, but that's it. Not, it's not finished there and then. There's a lot more to it. We're going to try and bring people into the village and look after them so they can see the whole race.
But just a few doors up the road, the picture isn't quite as rosy. With a freeze on any local transport, the landlady of the Crown can see problems racing towards her. So tell me what your first thoughts are when you heard that the Tour de France was coming through Addingham.
Fear and dread.
As bad as that?
Yeah, definitely. I think the problem being is that there's a limit to how many people you can serve and how many people you can look after. And if you're going to do something, you're going to do it properly. We don't have the facilities. We don't have the toilet facilities in the pub. I don't have a big enough kitchen to cater. And there's only 2 people can fit behind the bar at any one point in time. It's a bit of a logistical nightmare.
I understand their problems and their concerns. However, what you've got to realise is this is once in a lifetime. It will never be back here again. We're just talking about Addingham here, but this is going on across the whole region in relationship to making sure the tour can come in, everybody enjoys it, and it goes out again, and it's not forgotten.
Like the Olympics, the Tour de France is a huge money-making machine, and its passage through Yorkshire is expected to generate millions of pounds worth of tourism and free publicity for this unique part of the world. At Addingham's nearest bike shop, the benefits of the Tour de France effect are already beginning to show. Within the last few weeks, this cycle shop has moved into new purpose-built accommodation, and business is booming.
We're definitely busier and definitely see more cyclists on the road. We've developed and grown our workshop from sort of 2 to 3 staff to now 6 staff. I think the main growth of the business is the maintenance side, of people pulling old bikes out of sheds and trying to get them safe and running and trying to enjoy riding them.
But once the Tour and its huge entourage have cycled off into the distance, what lasting benefits will there be?
About 100 million is what we're looking at the moment, which obviously is an awful lot, and most that'll be over those 2 days. But what we're trying to do is capturing the audiences that are coming in and say, look, rather than just come and see the one big event, stay a bit longer, see what this region is all about, come and explore it a bit more really.
Another key aim is to use the momentum to massively boost the number of regular cyclists.
We're looking at least 10% more of the population across the Yorkshire and Humber region to cycle, at least that.
But that's all for the future. One man who's got first-hand experience of the race, both as a competitor and TV commentator, has some advice on how people in Addingham and elsewhere on the route can make the most of the experience.
Having the Tour de France is like having the Olympics come to town for the day. There's 3,500 vehicles associated with this event, and I think it's a similar number of press that follow the race every day. It is just enormous, and it's a real spectacle. I've seen it and been in it when it's come to the UK before. It is an amazing thing to see, and it's just a celebration of sport. It's a reason to get together with family and friends, have a party, and watch the race go past. And that's how the French use it. It's a reason to get together and celebrate.
Bring your partner up for this popular French dance, Chapeloise.
It's 7:30 on a freezing Sunday night, and the prospect of a good Anglo-French party is exactly what's bringing these members of the Addingham Ceilidh Club flocking to the village hall. As part of the tour's cultural festival, they're holding an entente cordiale, an evening of French and traditional Yorkshire dance, to coincide with the tour's arrival in the summer. And tonight, members are practising some of their Gallic moves.
Originally, dance was the only way you could mingle. This is why a lot of the French moves and the English moves require eye contact, because it was the only time you ever actually got to talk to the opposite sex. I'm just looking forward for the whole profile of Yorkshire in general to be lifted, and we can show the rest of the world, because the world watches the tour, just what we've got.
Perhaps it's the complex relationship we have with the French that's giving this event such a special feel. But as I prepare for my own grand départ from Addingham, there's one man who'll be glad when the last visitor has said their final au revoir. And I'm guessing you've got a holiday booked for shortly afterwards.
I probably will having a short break after this. Yeah, you do need it. It does tire you. But at the end of the day, you've got to make sure it's safe, right, and everyone gets what they want. And hopefully I'll have the most boring day ever, sitting in the control room, but knowing all the planning beforehand is really good.
Let's hope so. You know, all this talk of exercise has actually got me right in the mood. I mean, riding a bike, how hard can it be? Bring it on.